Okay, so let us take a look today at the student loan. I'm sorry, at the 401k, which is a way of getting your pensions at many modern companies. So a 401k is simply something that the company gives you. They match your money. If you deposit a dollar, let's say, into your account for your retirement, they will match that with a certain amount of money. And so most places will do like 10 cents or 10% on the dollar. 50% on the dollar is not unusual. It's not even unusual to get 100%. And in some instances, you can get $2 on the dollar. So this is a great deal, even if you just get a dime on the dollar. That's a 10% increase in your value of your money overnight. Also, these are tax deferred dollars. That means if I put $3,000, or let's say I put $10,000 into my 401k, that $10,000 is not taxable this year. So that when it is taxed, so if I'm paying 35% on my taxes, that means 3,500 would go to the federal government, and the rest of it, or to taxes, and the rest of it I would not be using for I would have to pay that $3,500, and I would get $6,500 to spend. If I defer that $10,000 when I'm in retirement, it's probably going to be in the situation that I'm making less money, so I'll pay a less tax bracket. I'll probably be paying 15%, let's say, so I'll only pay $1,500. So overall, a 401k is a good option for the future, arguably. Now, I mean, that's not universally said. Some people don't think they're great, then whatever and whatever and whatnot. We're not here to debate the merits of it. We're here to just know how it works. So let's take a look at that. Let's create our spreadsheet, and then let's take a look at the future value function, the FV function, which is the function we're going to use to say, hey, if I put a dollar away and the company matches me a dollar and I'm earning 8% every year, right, on average, approximately how much money will I have when I'm done? And that's what the future value function will tell me. All right, so let's take a look at that. Let's set up our situation. First things we want to do is put in our contribution. I'm going to call that our contrib, for our contribution. And then we're going to do the match, the company match. And then we're going to put in the deposit. Let me put in the company match. And how do I want to do this? And I'm going to put in the company total. All right, so I'm going to make that the company total. All right, so we have the company total, and then we're going to put in the deposit amount. So that, okay, now let's say we have an average rate of return of 5% per year and 5.5% per year. And again, we're going to autofill, like that's the part of the person of this, all the way up to a good 12% in money. Now, if you don't see 7.5, you see 8, let's say. The reason that is simply that you probably have this set not to show 2 decimal places, right? So if I was to format these, let me format them. If I was to format these and say, for example, these are percentages, but I say not 2%, you'll notice that all of them just upgraded. So this is like 9.95%, and this is the actual 9%. So that's why. Don't get confused. Okay, I'm going to undo. So there you go, 8.5. He just rounded up. Okay, so let's say you're going to work for 5 years at that company, then 10 years, giving him its pattern, and then I'm going to autofill that down. So all the way to working for a company for 40 years, even 45 years. I've seen people work at companies that long. Okay, so now let's fill in. I'm going to first zoom in so that you can see better what we're doing. I'll zoom in as best I can. All right, now here we go. This time we're going to go into the formulas button, choose the f of x again, and this time I'm going to search for the future values function, the FV function. So there it is, the FV. I'm going to use the financial function FV, which returns the value of an investment based on periodic constant payments at constant interest rate. Simply the same thing as before, but this time, instead of finding out what the monthly payment is, you're going to find out, if I make monthly payments, what's the total amount I'm going to have when I'm done. All right, so I'm going to use the future value reference to do that. And again, it's pretty much clearly the same as the payment function. You have the rate, right? Then you have the NPER, or the number of payments in the period. And see here we get the PMT, which is the payment, which is the same as the payment function. Whereas in the PMT, we returned the reverse. The PMT showed you what your future value was going to be, right? You looked at your current value, and it showed you what payment you had to make on the current value to end up with a future value of 0. Okay, so far. All right, so let's fill that in. The rate, 5% is here. And again, we're in that situation where we're going to collect our interest every month. So we're going to divide it by 12. And then we're going to go to the next one, which is the NPER, the total number of payments. We're going to pay for 5 years, let's say, but we're going to pay monthly, right? So we have to put in 12, so that's 60. In 5 years, you would make 60 deposits, and the payment, or the PMT, will be how much they deposit. And I'll put that in here. Currently, that's 0, which is fine. That's going to return an overall 0. But then we're going to fill in the values and watch our number change. So the first thing we have to do is look at this deposit amount. Well, let's do this. Let's put in first our contribution. I'll move the deposit up a little bit. There we go. So the contribution, I'm going to contribute. Let's say I contribute $250. And the company gives a match of $1 for every dollar I put in, right? So that would be, this is equal to this times what the company matched. That means the company is going to give me $250. All right, so that means that if I go here, what's my deposit going to be equal? It's going to be equal to my contribution and the company total, right? So I'm going to add these two together. And that says I'm going to, in this case, I'll be putting in $500. Now this should have updated. Let's see what we got here. C5. Oh, that's C4. I moved it. That's why it still says 0. So let's change that to C5. Oh, and there we go. We got our, and I'm going to put that minus sign here to get that amount. Change to a positive number. Okay, so that means we have this. We're going to have so we're going to close this down and get our audit trail. And there's our audit trail. And it shows us that relative and absolute positioning. So in the relative world, the purple number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 to the left. The blue number is 1 above, and the red number is 1 to the right. So if I was to not fill in, what I would get is an audit trail that looks something like this. It's trying to maintain those same relationships, you see? So 1, 2, 3, 4 up and 1 to the left. Okay, we don't want that because it gives us errors and it's not the right way to do it. Okay, we need to put in our absolute, relative, and mixed values so that we can see how it works. So let's go back and do that. Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see what we're doing here. I'll zoom into that area. And there you go, boom, and that's better. Okay, now we can see clear. So again, the D7 is 1 above. It's in the D7, E7, F7, G7. That means the 7 doesn't change, so I put a $sign in front of the 7. C8 is C8, C9, C10. The C is not changing. The $sign goes in front of the C. So I'll put a $sign in front of the C. And then C4. All right, that's in one simple area, $500 in this case. There's no other cell that represents that value. It can't change at all. Always look at C4. Don't change it. I need $2 signs. Don't change the 4. And please don't change the C. So boom, we got it. And now we can autofill all the way out to 12% and down to 3 more, and down or 40 years of service at the company. And again, all of these numbers, signs don't mean anything, right? I can zoom out. Let me zoom to 100%, and I'll just select all of them at one time, and I'll just choose any one of these and double click it, and that'll automatically autofill all of them. All right, so now you can see that if she worked for 40 years and was earning an 8.5% interest, she would have $2,19,326.17 if she put $250 away and she got this match for the rest of her career. So that's how the 401k works. Now, I just made a mistake. I put that on the student loan field, so I'm going to just do this. You have two options. You can either change the name of the student loan to 401k and then rename that. You could just rename the two sheets here, or I'm going to do this. I'm just going to select everything, right? And I'm going to choose cut, and I'm just going to put it over in the 401k. Let me see how I did that. You need to make sure you select properly. So I'm going to select the whole from A1 over, right? Choose cut. That makes it easier because I just go to A1 and I paste it in. And he'll find the right answer for everything. And again, we have that situation. I can select, choose any one, and boom, got the same thing, and it still follows the right rules. So now it's in the right one, and your student loan is empty the way it should, and the 401k is filled in. Just one of those things you want to do. All right, have a great day. Next time we'll take a look at how to do stocks and bonds. I mean, just stocks, actually. By connecting to the internet and getting an auto update. That's the important part. We're going to pull data off the internet, pull it in here, and use it in our calculations. So I'll see you next time. Have a great day.